one of the things that I was curious about was, as filmmakers, how you approach such dense material and expect your audience to engage with it and to just frankly understand it. What did you do to make yourselves feel comfortable, and what did you do? What was your strategy to just keep that exposition to a minimal, but also make sure there was enough there so people were with it?
We avoided the physics as long as possible. we had almost decided we had enough confidence that we could put it in at the very end once the story is all put together. The point is, of course, that there's way too much to explain if you want to tell that whole story. And so the only physics we wanted to put in was the physics that would support the narrative, and not the other way around. It's not a physics teaching movie. We're telling a story, and these people are passionate about whatever they're passionate about happens to be physics. So the key elements of the physics that told the story, that made people panic or excited or root against each other, was the only physics that ended up going in, and it came in at the very end.
Yeah, and I would say, a lot of people ask about the advantage of having, people that understood the physics making the film. And I always say the greatest advantage is that we knew what we could leave out, and we had the courage to leave it out. And I think that, the tendency for somebody who didn't have that background would be to possibly try to explain everything. And, we knew you could never do that. I mean, David and I both knew that to really explain it, you could never even do it in a film. And we could just decide, these are the things we're going to explain. And as long as the things that we explain are right, we'd be comfortable. And we can leave out things and not alienate the physics community, but, keep people with us. And the other important thing for me was always that any explanations somehow feel organically part of the story, that we try not to break up the narrative. So we would not have just an omniscient narrator talking through it. We would think about ways that it could be integrated. So if you remember, actually, in a sense, the first physics is in David's lecture, which, it was, again, not just somebody coming on and explaining physics. You feel like you're engaged, like an audience. We also realized later that we could use these little blog cameras, which people had been given to sort of capture intimate moments, also to explain physics, and it felt more like they're just talking to you personally. So, try to remove the onus of a narrator explaining physics and have it, again, feel more personal.
The other thing was this film previewed more than any film I've ever worked on by almost an order of magnitude. I think we must have had 25 screenings of the film. Not huge, 15, 20 people at most. Every 2 weeks. And we would screen the film, and, like any preview, you can tell something about the temperature of the room. Are they with it or not? And then we would talk to them for an hour or so afterwards, record that. It was clear as it could be that if given this subject matter, if you lost the audience, you never got them back. Because there's that phrase in mathematics where you hit the wall. Suddenly the teacher is talking gibberish and you don't know what he's saying. And once that happens, it's very hard to recover. And it was similar here. So we had to, as Mark and David were saying, just parcel out enough so that you could relate it to what you'd seen and no more than that, and then go on to do something interesting or funny or suspenseful, and then dollop out another little bit of the physics.
But once a month, Walter would announce what is now being removed from the film, whether it's other characters or some physics point or event. It was just necessary.
But I also would emphasize that we approached it as a dramatic narrative film first, and really, as both of them have said, didn't have much science in it initially. You know, it was we were following our characters, following the story, the arc, and as Walter said, we'd do a screening, and you know, maybe the first one, people would tell us they were lost 1 minute in. You know, so okay, we need something there. You know, and then we get a little bit further and a little bit further, and the philosophy was just enough, just in time, and again try to couch it in what was happening as much as possible.